Good morning, this is Jim Does from the Potato Shed down in the deepest depths of Wiltshire. I apologise now for my accent, it can be a bit strong, so we may get an interpreter of some such just in case it can be a little bit tricky to follow. Hopefully it won't be. Perhaps I can put my telephone voice on later on and talk very poshly. I don't think we need to do that. Anyway, today we're going to be showing you how to replace the rear quarter window in the mid-row door of a TD5 110. This is a 2003 model, so this should cover 10 years worth of Land Rover's Defenders either side of that. There may be a couple of slight variations in removal and replacement. As we all know, these machines mostly were built on a Tuesday by Jeremy, and then on a Wednesday Bert would come in and do it slightly differently. So we all know that they can be put together slightly differently, so you just got to adapt to that slightly. The reason I need to replace this window is, matter of fact, it's the window I need to replace is on the near side rear, over that side. This is the offside. I'm showing you the offside at the moment because I've already taken apart the near side, and I thought it'd be a good idea and a good opportunity to make a video because I couldn't find anything on YouTube at all on how to replace this rear quarter window, and it's a bit tricky. The reason I'm replacing it is because I smashed the one on the near side. Not a normal thing you do throughout the day of Land Rover ownerage, but when your keys are inside the door, your doors, or your keys are inside the car I should say, and you want to gain access from the driver's side, you normally press the button to gain access. Now I press the button, this is a different issue that I might have to attempt on a different day, along with many other issues with this Land Rover, but I still love it. So I pressed the button and all four locks went down with the keys inside and Tucker, the border terrier. He didn't seem too fussed about it, but it was quite a warm day and I thought, you know, I need to get in here a bit sharpish, and looking back on it, I should have smashed the blinking windscreen really, because it would have been a lot easier. I could have smashed the front windscreen. I could have got that on the insurance, hopefully. Hope you're not listening to insurance. Obviously, it was an accident that window got smashed. It wasn't on purpose. They would have come and replaced it whilst I was still working, and I wouldn't have had to lose a couple of days' pay. In the consequence of this, I've had to lose a couple of days' pay messing about with this blinking Land Rover trying to replace this quarter light. So just to talk you through it briefly, first of all, you need to remove the card. There's two screws, Phillips, holding the door handle in place. Then you need to remove the bezel. There's a Phillips screw holding the door opening mechanism in place. Remove that. And then the winder on doors with winders, I can't be sure, there can be many Land Rover 110s of this age with electric windows, if there is. Obviously you don't have to worry about this. So if you've got a winder, which mostly they would likely to have in this age, there's a little horseshoe style clip which is recessed inside two channels, and the channels inside the winder itself and inside the winding mechanism, which is fixed to the door. That holds this winder in place. So I found the best way to remove this was to get myself a bit of welding wire, probably about 1.6 mil thick, 2 mil thick, somewhere along those lines. Bend a small leg on the end of the wire at a 90 degree, probably about a 5-6 mil leg. Insert that in between the winder itself and the door card, find your horseshoe clip and pull him out, and then the winder comes off. The door card's held in place with little black Christmas tree style poppers, and they locate inside sockets which are mounted inside the door frame itself. So just easily prise the card away, just be fairly careful, because sometimes those Christmas tree plugs can be a bit brittle and they can break, but you can still pick them up from your usual Land Rover aftermarket stockists. We all know who they are. You can find them on Google and that sort of thing quite easily. So I reckon we'll pop over the other side and see where I've got to so far, and then and there's a few other extra pieces that I've had to do as well. It's a bit like the domino effect. Once you start unpeeling the Land Rover to do a small job, the domino effect happens, and then you find there's lots of other things that need doing. Perhaps they don't really need doing, but owning a Land Rover, you love to play about with them a little bit. Well, I do anyway. Anyway, should we go around the other side? Let's go around, and I'll just walk you around the Landy. So this is the back of the Landy. It's a double cab, 110. I picked it up probably about 8-9 years ago. So it's been in my hands for nearly a decade now, and I've done quite a bit of work to it. So this is the near side door. As you can see, the card and the dust protection PVC flaps been removed. All the channels which the window winds up and down, and the sash bar which separates the winding window from the fixed rear quarter window, that's all been removed. You'll probably note on here there's a bit of red paint. That's my Red Oxide. That's one of the little jobs that I carried out whilst attempting to replace the glass. After I removed the card and other bits and pieces from the door, I quickly found that there was quite a bit of corrosion in and around the door, so I wire brushed it all down, got myself some emery cloth, cleaned it all up, and then treated it with some Red Oxide. Hopefully that'll keep it fairly stable for another 10 years or so. This bit at the top of the door is particularly bad. There's quite a lot of rust in there, so I may have to cut that out and weld some new in it at some point. I've already done that on the driver's side. I may show you that on another video, the completed article. TIG welded I think I cut a piece out of here to find some decent metal to weld to, fabricated a new piece of metal to go against the pressed steel that's existing on the original door, and TIG welded it together. But we'll have a look at that another day anyway. The purpose today is to figure out how to get this window in. It was tricky, I tell you. So I'll just plonk the camera down here. Again, I apologise for my Wiltshire accent. It can be a bit strong. Just move that down. There we go. That's all right. So once you remove the card, you'll find that there's a plate that's bolted to the main door frame itself. This plate is here to hold the solenoid in place for your central locking, if your vehicle has that. It holds the running bars for the opening mechanism to open up the door itself, and then it holds the winding regulator in place, which puts your window up and down. And I think that's basically the main operation of this main board here. So there's 5 or 6 10mm bolts dotted around, holding it in place. Remove all of those and you can take this off. Prior to removing the bolts for the regulator, I thought it a good idea to wind the window to the top of the door and then tape the window in place. I was a bit concerned that if I was to remove the regulator, the window would come crashing down with gravity, and I'll probably have another window to replace, so I wanted to protect that. So I did tape it in place whilst I removed the regulator. So once all that was done, I put the board, which is still loosely connected by the electric cabling for the solenoid and the mechanism for the door lock, the the door lock mechanism. So I'll put that down here. Then you had your channels for the window, the winding window, on the left and the right. So the one on the left, there's a screw at the bottom. Sometimes you'll find a second screw around about here as well. And then occasionally you might find a screw halfway up. But like I said, depends on who's building these cars in the factory. If Jeremy's building it on the Tuesday and Brian comes in and starts building it on the Friday, he'll put screws in wherever he fancies. So you've got to try and find them, which can be a bit tricky. So I'll show you what I did there. Got myself a little screwdriver, and I ran the screwdriver inside the glass channel whilst it was obviously still fitted to the car. So I ran the screwdriver slowly down the channel, and then every now and again you feel like a blip. I said, "Oh, what's that in there then?" So you think, find out what that is. Oh, it's a screw. So work the channel backwards and forwards slightly to remove the material from the screw head, because you don't want too much debris inside the screw head, because then that's when you can round the screw off, and then you're in a bit of trouble. So you remove all the debris as best as you can from the screw. Insert your Phillips screwdriver in there, get a good grip on it, and then obviously undo it. I think we all know how to take a screw out. I knew he said something naughty then. So we'll remove that glass channel. Again, you remove the glass channel on the right hand side. Again, you'll find a screw at the bottom. This one was rusted, so I had to cut it out with an angle grinder. Luckily I could get one in there. And then I think there was 3 screws. I'll show you actually. There's 3 screw holes inside the channel itself of the door. Again, you'll need to run your small screwdriver up and down the window channel, the felt window channel, to find these screws, to unscrew them from the framework of the door. Again, if it's Jeremy or Brian that's building these cars, they like to put these screws all over the place. So we just need to adapt. Being a Land Rover owner, I think we all adapt slightly, don't we? So that's those removed. Then the next thing to do is remove the check strap from the bottom of the door. There's a 8mm bar formed, held in place with a simple bracket and a couple of 10mm nuts. That's at the bottom of the door. You remove that out of the way. That then allows you to remove the check strap. That's bolted in place with a 13mm bolt, 13mm nut, beg my pardon, 13mm nut inside the vehicle itself, and then there's a run-in bearing which runs inside the channel inside the bottom of the door, which is just down there. So that's where your bar was held in place with the 2 nuts, and then the check strap itself runs in and out of this channel here, so you just need to remove that. The reason for that is so you can remove your winding window out of the way. You don't want your winding window in the way. You could leave it in there if you want to, but yeah, it's quite a simple operation to remove it. And sure as eggs is eggs, if you don't remove it and you try and wriggle room things here, there and everywhere, you're going to break the blinking thing. So I found removing it, the window itself, was probably a good idea. Once you've got all your gubbins out of the way, you can get your window, which I've got over here. Bear with me. And then once you wriggle it very carefully, you just bring it down and it slides out of the way. It's quite an easy operation. And then plonk this out of the way, right out of the way. In a safe place, cover it with some bits of curtain or something or other, or an old jacket just to protect it. You don't want to break that as well. It's just what a nightmare. So once that's all out of the way, I then attempted to take the sash bar out. I don't know if this is called a sash bar. I'm calling it a sash bar for these purposes. I'm sure if you'd like to comment at the bottom, you could probably correct me on the right terminology for this part. This goes up inside the door. This divides the winding window, which goes up and down on this side, and then your fixed quarter light is fitted inside here. It's this main sash bar here, which is a bit of a problem to get out. I almost gave up, but you know, you've got to keep going, haven't you, really? Can't give up, can't give up. So this runs up inside here, sandwiched inside these two pressed steel parts of the door. And it's up in place in here. Now there's a slight channel inside the top of the door, which this piece here fits into. And then also, just behind that, at the top of the bar, there's a dog leg. I don't know if you can see it, I hope you can. There's a slight dog leg just here. And at the top of that dog leg, there's a screw hole. Guess what? A screw goes through there. It does. You'd never believe it, would you? And it goes up inside the frame, which holds this in place, along with another screw hole at the bottom of the channel. Sometimes there could be two. In this particular day, I don't know if Jeremy was doing it or Brian. I don't know who Jeremy and Brian are. I'm just using names up just like that for the crack. But anyway, there's a hole at the bottom of this one. Sometimes there could be two. And they're screwed in into the bottom of there, see? Okay. So once you've removed all your screws, you can then attempt to take the sash bar away from the window. Now this, although you've removed all your screws, it's still pretty tight in there. And I was thinking, well, what's holding it now? What's holding it now? So inside this sandwiched area here, there's quite a lot of gunk. Dub or dub, I don't know what it is, some sort of sponge or hard, brittle, horrible black stuff. So I had to cut some of that out of the way to allow the sash bar to move. And then finally, there is this bracketry with a piece of sponge at the top of the bracket. This is held in position with a 7mm nut and bolt just inside there, and that just stops your quarter light from dropping down. So there's a 7mm nut and bolt. So you need a spanner on one side and a spanner on the other, and you should be able to take that straight out. There's a bit of that rubber stuff there. Oh, it just fell out. Don't need that, do we? So we've got that out of the way. And when I come to replace the glass, I might just do a shorter version of that, because obviously we've gone through a little bit of detail here of how to dismantle the door to be able to gain access to the quarter light or quarter window or side window, fixed window, whatever you want to call it. Please put me right. Let me know exactly what it is on the bottom comments. And then, yeah, I'll do another video to show you how it all goes back together again. And I hope this has been helpful. And Jim Does from the Potato Shed will be back to you soon. Bye.